This is Selma Schimmel at the 2012 Multidisciplinary Symposium in Thoracic Oncology happening in Chicago. This meeting is presented by ASTRO, IASLC, and ASCO, as well as the University of Chicago. And now we're bringing you our Advocacy in Action feature.
So we're huge proponents of molecular testing, primarily because we believe it can unlock some of the keys to new targets possibly, and identify for patients that have current targets that there's treatments available for and get them on the right pathway. What we've learned is once a patient has the right diagnosis, and if it has certain biomarkers associated with that, there's treatment options available.
What is biomarker testing and why is it so important in lung cancer care?
I'm going to back up a little bit and talk actually a little bit about breast cancer, because in the breast cancer field it is 100% established. Every single breast cancer is going to get analyzed to see, does it have estrogen receptor presentation, does it have progesterone receptor presentation, and does it have HER2 biomarkers. And these are elements to the tumor. And the reason they're important is because it changes the course of therapy depending on what the tumor characteristics are.
Which is the essence of personalized medicine.
It's the essence of personalized medicine. And this is standard for breast cancer. It's 100% standard. It has been for many, many years. And now it is standard for lung cancer. It is standard. There are guidelines that say advanced adenocarcinoma patients should be tested specifically for two genes, the epidermal growth factor receptor and the EML-ALK translocation. And the reason is because we have agents that treat very well those tumors that happen to express mutations in those particular genetic characteristics.
I think personalized medicine absolutely is the wave of the future. We've got a doctor, Dr. Gandera at UC Davis, that speaks to our patients and says, how many lung cancers are out there? And he'll say as many as there's lung cancer patients as how many different lung cancers there are. And so the personalized medicine focus is huge. And I think if all the organizations have a role in making that a priority, I think we can move progress forward quicker.
No patient today is going to initiate therapy without these tests.
That is the guideline, that every advanced adenocarcinoma patient should be offered those tests. Now, whether that's been taken up across the entire physician community, that remains to be seen.
So what does the patient diagnosed with lung cancer really need to know regarding their biomarker testing?
I think they should all demand, if they don't get it right away, is that they get tested. They get their a biopsy and get tested molecularly. There are certain biomarkers, KRAS, the RET gene, ALK gene, that if you are diagnosed and you have that biomarker, there are treatment options available for you. Right
now, for adenocarcinoma, which is still the majority of lung cancer cases, they need to get tested, period. There must be molecular tumor testing done on their tumor in order to make sure that they absolutely, without a doubt, are taking the right course of therapy. For other types of lung cancer, whether we're talking about squamous cell or small cell, we're not quite there yet. But there still is opportunity for tumor testing and then clinical trial enrollment.
What are the benefits of identifying biomarkers, biomarker testing?
So there are kind of multiple stages of that. So if we're talking about the patient with cancer, it's really trying to direct the therapy and trying to direct the very best therapy to them. And again, as we just discussed, if there's a point at which the therapy has been working and then it stops working, there's resistance, to retest and to see what's going on now, and so do we have a new therapy that we can address. There's other opportunities for biomarker testing more on the risk side. So when we're looking at how can we predict who is going to get lung cancer or other types of cancers, we can use biomarkers in that way as well. And that's a very active area of research. Again, doesn't pertain to the person who's been diagnosed, but in understanding who's most likely to get it, and therefore who do we need to follow the most closely. Because
there is this complexity to lung cancer, what we will unlock in some of the discoveries that will happen, and what we've learned about oncology in general is that there are biomarkers across tumor types. There is going to be some real interesting developments that will, I think, shed light and open the doorway to new treatments for a lot of things.
So what do you think are the biggest challenges and obstacles in the testing process today?
So to me, I think the biggest challenge is just how quickly the field is evolving. It is so tough for the doctors, particularly those community oncologists that are treating all different kinds of cancer. It is just so tough for them to keep up with the just avalanche of knowledge that's coming forward. And so it is very tough for the individual patient when they're met by a physician who may not have all of the tools in their toolbox because they're trying to cover such a vast sea of disease. So I really see that as one of the biggest challenges. And meetings like this one are an opportunity for folks to come together, get the latest updates, and then to be able to go back to their practices and disseminate to their colleagues.
You know, I think resources, you know, both financial and partnership resources, we're a big believer in collaboration. Nothing's going to happen sort of in a vacuum or in silos. So whatever we can do to be a catalyst in promoting partnerships and collaboration, manpower, you know, having as many smart, intelligent, out-of-the-box thinkers working within the lung cancer community would be a huge help, I think, for us. Following the models of breast and prostate cancer and how they've actually been able to tackle those diseases is important, why we create the wheel when we don't have to. And I think working with industry, you know, I think technology, biotechnology, and the pharmaceutical industry, because they have the resources, are good partners and collaborators for us to drive progress forward.
What are the psychosocial implications when a patient finds out that they don't have a biomarker?
And I think in these cases, it's so important for the physician to say, that would have, you know, it still tells me something. It tells me what not to use for you. So it still helps guide my treatment for you. And so this is the path I'm going to recommend based on those results. It's not a good or a bad. It's just helping me guide down the path better.
Would there ever be reason to retest a patient?
Yes. So the most important time to retest is actually at the point at which, if you've been tested, you're on a particular course of therapy, and then the therapy stops working. That's a very important time to retest. There's been some really interesting reports that non-small cell lung cancer can switch to small cell lung cancer, and it can switch back to non-small cell lung cancer. It's really, really funky, but that really indicates the importance of doing tests at each point at which the therapy stops working, because we don't know what's going on right there. And if we do that test and find out, again, we can better tailor the therapy and again give the patient a better life.
And also, it's possible that one can develop resistance, or they will mutate again.
Yes.
These cancer cells
Absolutely.
are very clever.
Yes.
And very manipulative.
Diabolical is the word that somebody used, and I said, oh, that's a perfect word.